Onion, why are you so freaky? But no, seriously, I love Onion. I want him to be even more freakish and more weird. I want Steven's nightmares to be haunted by Onion.
All these fancy bugs hanging around. Remember?
So I would describe this episode as very quaint. It's a very slice of life type episode, and in fact, there's almost no gem powers involved whatsoever. Amethyst transforms once in this episode, and other than that, everybody may as well just be a normal human and there may as well be no fantasy element at all. But it's still a very refreshing episode, even though it's a bit downbeat, and there's no major events and no huge revelations in terms of the intergalactic plot, but instead we have a lot of small interpersonal moments in this episode. Steven chases Onion because Onion stole some of his food and finds a garage with paintings of Amethyst. So many various differing paintings of Amethyst. And the audience straight up has to have the reaction of, whoa! Does Onion have a crush on Amethyst? Is this another character with a crush on one of the gems? And no, luckily we find out no, that is not the case, although it would make a lot of sense considering how Onion follows Steven around and has these weird, peculiar behaviors. Maybe Onion's just jealous of Steven? But no, thankfully that's not it. Instead, it is Vidalia, who is Onion's mother, who has painted all of these, and she makes the greatest entrance in the series thus far, coming out from behind a shower curtain with a shotgun, ready to blast away any intruders in her home. It's awesome, I friggin' love Vidalia. So apparently Amethyst and Vidalia haven't kept up with each other's lives at all, and this is a bit of a plot hole, I would think, or at least it's a bit problematic to the plot, because this town is tiny. There is a very small population of central characters, and everybody lives pretty close together. Considering how close Amethyst and Vidalia were supposed to have been, I find it amazing that they drifted out of touch for over a decade, it seems, and haven't kept up with each other's lives at all. That's weird. I would understand if they had moved away from each other and now are in the same vicinity again because somebody returned to the town. But no, Vidalia and Amethyst have been walking distance from each other for so long and have not spoken. I hope that's addressed in at least some way in a future episode because I'm not really satisfied with that. However, it isn't really that large of a problem and it can be overlooked fairly easily. So in a way very reminiscent of how kids tune out the adult conversations around them, Steven is engrossed in Onion's weirdness, while Amethyst and Vidalia talk and drop tons of backstory. Vidalia had sour cream with Marty, then she remarried with Yellowtail and had Onion, and we see all these nice little details in the background, and we see that Yellowtail is home for only about half of the year because he's a fisherman and is away a lot. This kind of gives us a glimpse into this family and shows how they may have lots of these little problems and they're all just kind of getting by and living day to day. It kind of creates a somber tone for Vidalia's life, honestly. She used to be this wild girl and now she kind of settled down and she still has kind of that fire and spirit within her. A lot of her statements reflect this.
You don't know what I've done in these shoes.
But still, we get a little bit of a downtrodden atmosphere from this house, in my opinion. Onion takes Steven to his room and scares Steven with the prospect that Steven has to feed a live mouse to a snake. Now good job, Onion, because you didn't actually feed that live mouse to your snake. You scared Steven at the end by having it in your mouth. That's also awesome because feeding snakes live food can be sometimes dangerous. Snakes can get bit or scratched and scarred up from these encounters with live prey items, so it's safest for the health of your snake to just feed it pre-killed food, and it seems like Onion might do that, and I hope he does do that. The birth video. Onion, why do you have your own birth video? So I thought this was actually gonna be one of those jokes where the audience thinks this is a video of Onion's birth from the noise, and then we find out no, it's some other event. But no, it's straight up, the video of Onion being born, and in a way I have to think this is Rebecca Sugar's way of nuking from space the theory that Onion is a gem. It's basically like, here you go fanbase, video footage of Onion being born. Onion is a human. And I found it hilarious, because people are still probably going to continue to insist that Onion, there's something mysterious about him. Maybe he isn't just a normal, really strange human. Look, I think he is at this point. This seems to be really definitive, guys. So Steven really wants to flee, but he sees how much Vidalia and Amethyst are connecting. Amethyst is feeling suffocated. She cannot tolerate the atmosphere, at the home of the Crystal Gems because of the, dispute Pearl and Garnet are having. But here, not only is she catching up with an old friend, she's venting her feelings, and there's all this emotional stuff that's happening that Steven understands. This is very important for Amethyst, and not just Amethyst, but Vidalia as well. They're speaking about how each of them inspired the other and the way they viewed the other person that the person may not view themselves as. Amethyst saw herself as just a dumb sponge who followed Vidalia around, but Vidalia saw Amethyst as a strong source of inspiration, somebody who's welcoming of anything and ready to tackle it head on. She is so inspired by Amethyst that she actually paints her. Amethyst is almost like sort of a muse, I guess, for Vidalia in this case. And the two have a really personal, deep relationship. And Steven sucks it up, he sacrifices his own sanity, and basically turns around and goes right back to playing with Onion. It's a very bold and a very powerful move on Steven's part, and in turn, he actually gets a gal out of it. He sees Onion's guy and gal collection, and the two become friends. So I really like this episode. As I said, it's kind of quaint, and there's no major highs and lows. There's no emotional explosions that we have to deal with, but it just handles a reunion between two people who kind of lost touch with each other really well, and it's kind of a delicate episode. Watching Amethyst and Vidalia interact was just wonderful, and Steven learns that he can be friends with people he does not understand, even if they still freak him out a little bit.